Hello everyone, this is Dashcam Owners Australia here with another Dashcam review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Dome G90 from Gearbest.com. I'll have a link for them down in the description for you. Just as I start this review as well, I'd like to apologise. I was having some camera issues on this particular day, so a few bits are out of focus, but it still gets the point across. Alright, so this is everything you get in the box here. You get your box, you get your camera, the mount, cigarette lighter, and there is also an instruction leaflet, which I haven't shown. It was basically fractured English throughout, but this camera is quite simple, so there's not a lot of need for the instruction manual. Now, as you can see, it's a good looking little camera, decent size, has the screen, good size lens on it, and it's not going to be too obstructive on your windshield. As you can see, you've got your button on the side for the event recording and all your control buttons along the bottom. On the top of the camera, as you may have seen, there was the connection for the power supply, which also acts as the windshield cradle for this camera. You also have your HDMI and a separate power socket. Here's your front view of the lens. Nice decent lens on this camera. Now I'll just take a look at the windshield mount for this camera. The windshield mount also doubles as the power supply for this camera. So it's good. You don't have to have a cable running all the way down to the camera, which will, sit in the way. It keeps it nice and tucked up tidy out of the way. Very easy to disconnect and connect into the cradle for this. Another advantage of plugging in up here is you can remove the camera from the car very quickly and easily should you need to. There you go, that's what it looks like when it's going to be in your car. Now I'll turn the camera on so we can all take a look at it here. Your standard startup display, and then it goes straight into the recording screen. As you can see, you've got the recording indicator on the left there. Now I'm going to show you through some of the menu options on this camera. Right here we have our video resolution options, which are high dynamic range 1080p, 720p 60, 720 30, and just standard 1080p. I'll be using high dynamic range 1080. Our image quality options, superfine, fine, and normal. I'm using superfine. Our meter mode settings, center, average, and spot. I'm using center. Anti-flicker mode, I've just got that set to auto, but you've got 60 and 50 Hz. Our stamp setting, so you can set a driver stamp on this camera, so a license plate, stuff like that as well, but it gives you options for what you want on the screen. I've got driver, date and time. Now the loop recording setting, this is the amount of time each file goes for. I've got it on 1 minute files. I've got the G sensor turned off on this one. I don't like G sensors myself, but you got a few different options there for that. Motion detection on and off. I'm using off. And there we are, back to video resolution. Now on the second menu, gives you our language options. So got a few different language options there. Now, card volume. I'm using a class 10 32GB Samsung card. Screen mode, NTSC or PAL, and the driver ID setting. I've set mine to DCOA for Dashcam Owners Australia and G90 as the camera model. You can also set up the time settings here and format the memory card. One thing with this format, it doesn't exactly do what you think it does. Like, it formats the card, but you would think that the cross would mean exit that menu, and it actually means delete. So you can reset the camera to default settings. And the auto power off, so you can have the camera turn off 1, 3 or 5 minutes once the power goes, or off instantly. Your backlight setting, so you can turn the screen off 1, 3 or 5 minutes after the car starts. Delay the power off. The beep sound for the menus. And here's the version info, which if you cannot read is SVNR. And there we are, back to language settings. Alright, here we have some footage. This is set filmed in 1080p high dynamic range mode. As you can see, it's very nice footage. You can clearly make out all the details, you can read the street signs, car license plates for even, a few of the different cars around, not just the car directly in front. So it's doing quite a nice job in broad daylight. I'm very impressed with what this camera can do, especially for what you would say is a cheaper model camera. Now, what I'm going to show you now is what happens when you go between one film clip and the next film clip in this camera. And there we go. There was 2 different clips joined there. You wouldn't even notice. There's no delay between footage in this camera. What I'm going to do now is cut to some in-car audio so you can hear what the microphone on this particular camera is like. And just a volume warning on this bit, guys, it will be loud. So as you could probably hear there, the audio was quite distorted, quite loud. I haven't had much luck with any of the other video or footage that I've taken with this camera as well. It's all fairly similar. Apparently this is an issue they're having with the first run of this camera. There is talk that it is going to be fixed, but just something to bear in mind at the moment. Here we have some very early morning footage. This is basically just before dawn. But as you can see, the camera is not struggling whatsoever. It's pulling every bit of light it can, and the footage is just coming out. I'm honestly blown away by the quality of the footage that this camera can bring out. It is really quite good for the price you're paying. As you can see, you could easily read the signs at the petrol station there. You can read license plates, you can read details on the trucks that are driving around. It's doing a really good job of the footage. Okay, so my thoughts on this camera. For $90, I really don't think there's anything better on the market at this price that does such a good job with video. That being said, I think there's still some work to be done with the audio on these. Hopefully that's rectified. And I didn't like the way that the emergency button operates on this. It doesn't seem to lock an entire clip from what I can see. It only seemed to do 20 to 30 seconds, and some of that was about 10 seconds before you push the button. I couldn't seem to figure out what percentage of film it was locking to when you push the button, but they may come up with a fix for that in the firmware as well. Overall, yeah, if you're looking for a camera under $100 that just does the basics of record, you can't go past this camera. It really is a great camera. Alright everyone, thank you for watching this review, and I hopefully will have some more of these out in the future for you. So thank you. This is Dashcam Owners Australia saying goodbye.